Hello, I'm Deborah Henson-Conant, also known as Deborah Henson-Conant, also known as DHC. And I wanted to come here today because I've been getting a lot of questions about Hip Harp Academy because we are open for registration and the discount is ending soon. And I just wanted to answer a bunch of these questions and kind of take you inside. Some people are asking like, how does it work? And, how did it start? And then asking questions about like, why is it right for me or why is it not right for me? So I just wanted to kind of take you back and tell you how it all started, for example, because I have my notes here, but can I find them? All right, just a second. Let's see if I can find my notes. All right. Yeah, so I started Hip Harp Academy more than 10 years ago, after 25 years as a sort of a pioneer in harp performance with the electric harp and playing jazz and improv, and playing with symphony orchestra. I realized there was a critical gap in education for harp players, especially harp players who don't want to go the traditional route of going to a conservatory. And so they needed a comprehensive training that combines technical grounding and presence. You could call it excellence. I call it grounding and presence at whatever level they're at. So technical grounding with whatever level they're at with untethered creative expression. A lot of people think that, well, you have to be technically, you have to get a certain kind of technical mastery before you can be self-expressed. But they are forgetting that as children, we are very self-expressed, even with very simple technical skills. And you can do that as an adult as well if you get the right training. A lot of harpists now come to the harp at different times in their life. They're not following the conservatory route, and they have different intentions. They want to be of service. They want to do therapeutic harp, or they want to play in an ensemble, or purely for their own self-expression. So it's a very different reason to play the harp, and so going the traditional route doesn't always work. And so, building on my experience as a Grammy nominated performer and a recording artist and pioneer with performance and the electric harp, I launched Hip Harp Academy in 2012 to transform traditional harp education for those who are not going to follow the traditional route of conservatory because they want to be self-expressed and or they don't have time to follow that route. And because they're starting later in life or they've got really busy lives, and so they want to be playing a different kind of music, a different kind of self-expression. So the business began with these small online workshop and individual coaching, and then the success of those offerings revealed that there really was a strong demand for structured yet flexible ongoing education that went beyond standard harp technique. And this led to developing the year-round harp academy called Hip Harp Academy and an intensive Harness Your Muse mentorship. And there are also standalone classes. So before I go on, I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. I see that there are some people already listening, and I know that this particular platform lets us chat in some of the platforms. So if you can see me and you can hear me, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see if I can pull up an even larger QR code to make it easier for you to see that. And pull this one down, pull that one up. Can I do that? Okay, great. Yeah. And let me know if you can actually hear me. I sometimes have technical difficulties, as we all do. So I just told you sort of how I created and why I created Hip Harp Academy. And let me tell you what makes it different than other ways of learning the harp. And by the way, I don't work with beginning people who are just beginning the harp because I'm teaching creative expression. I'm teaching improvisation in many different genres. I am not teaching you how to put your fingers on the harp and bring sound out of it. I'm teaching you new ways you might do that, but you're going to want to work with, if you're just starting the harp, you're going to want to work with somebody who focuses on that. And if possible, to work with somebody one-on-one but there are also some really wonderful online classes for that as well. So let me look here. But my thing is creative expression and being able to express yourself. So what distinguishes the academy is that there's lots of integration. So it combines fundamental music theory concepts, sometimes even compositional concepts, which may sound really highfalutin, but they're more like how you would play with blocks as a kid. That's what composition is, how you put blocks together. So it combines these fundamental music theory or compositional aspects with improv skills that transcend genres. Okay. And you'll know why in a second. So my improv background is in music improv, folk, meditation music, jazz, but also in dance improv, in theater improv, movement improv, drawing improv, story improv. The very first time that I experienced this thing of having a structured improv or a focused improv, I was in a PE class in high school, and the PE teacher was teaching us something I did not know the name of then. It was called contact improv. It was all about physical improv. So again, I'm just going to ask you if you can hear me, let me know, or if you can't hear me, put something in the chat if you can. So when I started playing the harp as an adult, I was looking for improvisation, but I could not find the improvisation that I wanted in music. So I looked every place I could. And I found these principles and practices kept showing up, whether they were showing up in improv drawing or improv theater or improv movement or whatever. I would just go to those teachers and I kept seeing that these same basic principles and practices show up. And so I began using those in music improv. And if you come to the academy, you'll see that the use of things like snippets and the use of frameworks which are just like theater improv. It's nothing new, but it's taken from all these different fields. So that's my experience of life. That's what I bring to teaching in the academy. I'm also a composer, so I bring that. My thing is I want to empower you to be self-expressed, why and how, so that every performance you give, whether it's your house plants or it's on stage at Carnegie Hall, has the opportunity to be an experience in which people can actually experience that magic of music that is transformational, where they go to a different place. And this can happen at any level of technical ability if you can really bring yourself to the instrument. That's what I love. That's what kind of makes me click. So the academy teaches that. It also integrates, it kind of bridges the gap between technical proficiency and creative expression. It provides a structured curriculum while encouraging artistic exploration. And I'm laughing because I was showing this to somebody the other day, and I was like, yeah, structured curriculum, encouraging artistic exploration. And he was like, well, that's a contradiction. And I was like, well, no, it may be a paradox. There are no contradictions, only paradox, which I learned in theater improv. But no, flexible structure is the foundation of creative freedom. So the academy combines these flexible learning format, the structured curriculum, while encouraging artistic exploration. How? Well, there's flexible learning formats from self-paced to intensive mentoring. So there are all these things that seem like paradoxes, but paradox is where, the real learning happens, where life really happens. So the other thing that's really important, and this is something I learned over many, many years, is the academy creates an emotionally safe environment so that you can be in creative discovery with others. In creative discovery with others. Imagine that, rather than being in creative competition. I think it's scary for a lot of people to come to the academy because they're like, well, other people are going to see me playing. They're going to think that I'm not, all of that. This is something that's really deeply, deeply, deeply important to me. And it's one of the things that I am constantly reinforcing, that every time we are going to look at somebody else's work, I always say, what you're going to do here is you are going to switch from the world of assessment and judgment to the world of discovery. And we are going to learn to do that by looking at other people's work from discovery. You are going to look at it for what there is for you creatively to learn here. And if you're struggling with that, as many of us do, because, I'm like, if you're thinking, I liked it better the way she did it before, or, oh, she's so much better than me, or, oh, I heard someone else do that better. These are toxic things, and they don't let you experience the discovery of being with colleagues. If you are with colleagues who are all committed to, I want to wait a second. I want to just a second. I want to do something here. If you are committed, if you are with colleagues who are committed to coming imperfectly, committed to connection, not perfection. And everyone is committed to their own self-expression, and they're trying things in front of you. You are going to learn so much, but not if you are assessing it. And so if you can learn to watch other people's work and other people's what they're trying without assessment and judgment, eventually you will be able to do that with your own work. And this opens up a lot of freedom. And I always tell people, I'm like, take something that you can drop, hold it, and realize that just grab it and hold on to it, because this is the experience that we often have in holding on to a preconceived notion of how we're supposed to do things, like, to look with assessment, and just take that and just open your hand and drop it and experience that. You may have to practice that many, many, many times before you can drop it, but you can do that. And that will open up your creativity. It opens up your ability to see what other people do and share back with them. Here's what that opened up for me. Not because you were like the most amazing player who did this, but no, forget it. Forget it. You're not going to learn anything from that. And this is something I discovered long ago, when someone would be like, look, go look at Beethoven to learn about blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't learn anything because Beethoven is perfect. There's nothing to learn there. I need to see other people who are trying out and stumbling and falling in order for me to be able to see how I can myself become more self-expressed and not be scared to do that. So this is something that's really important for me, that I can teach in the academy. And this is something that I learned when I came into improv. I was just as, judgmental as the next person. But little by little, I had to learn that the only way I was going to be able to learn with others was to learn from them and to be sharing with them. And if worst case scenario, if my brain is just so full of like whatever critique, one of the simplest things to do is just to find one thing to love. As I'm saying this, I'm thinking, oh yeah. And right now I'm in critique of my own head. And I was like, find one thing to love. So I just love that I'm here. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you. First thing, I wanted to just talk about like how the academy came, how it works. I'm going to take this off now. I'm just going to assume that you can hear me. Although I've done entire things like this and then had somebody say, I can't hear what you're saying, which is why I turned on my tape recorder for a second, because I was like, well, I want to hear what I'm saying. I want to know what I'm talking about. All right. So now let's look at, I want to show you what the academy looks like, how it works. Because people are always asking me like, what is it? How does it work? And then they have a bunch of questions. I'm going to do all that, and then I'm going to go for a run. Okay, so bear with me here while I attempt to pull up something that's on my computer. I always get so nervous. I'm like, oh, what am I actually going to accidentally pull up here? Okay, all right, so let's see if we can do this. So here is, theoretically, are we seeing this? Haha, excellent. But I'm gone. So let's see if I can pull myself up here. Good. Oh, amazing. I have both me and that. Okay. And let's see, dare I try to get my QR code up again? Incredible. I did the whole thing. Dun, da, 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 da. Okay, so, where are we? Oh, yeah, right, okay, so wait, wait, hold on, I can do this. If I can play a harp, I can do this. Okay, can I? Okay, wait a second. Alright, let's see if I can. Alright. Alright, here we go. Okay, so Hip Harp Academy. No, now I just lost myself. Okay, so I'm just gonna tell you, it is easier to play the harp than it is I have completely lost the whole presentation. Huh, interesting. I'm gonna hit this oh, there we go. Okay, whatever. Here we are. Alright, so now I'm gonna have to get back there. Alright. Wow, there's still a person here with me. Hello, I love you. Okay, Hip Harp Academy, which is a home of creativity, confidence, and connection. That's what's really important here. And there are 3 parts to the academy. There's the coaching, there's the classes, and there's the community. So I wanna show you each one of them so you just get an idea how that works. So the coaching is where I am live, and there are sometimes others as well. So there's weekly live coaching. There's 3 different ways that the live coaching happens in the academy. There's live master classes, which we sometimes call affectionately chats, weekly office hours, and catch-up coaching. And, some people can feel really intimidated by the master classes, and so they're like, I'm just gonna go to the catch-up coaching." And that's fine. You go to whatever works for you. If you have something specific that you want to get answered, a specific question, you come to the office hours. These are all available for, different ways for engaging. This is the general schedule. It changes a little bit sometimes, but there's on Mondays, there's 2 chats. They're the same content, but they're different and they're live, and that's simply because we have an international, membership, and so some of them, there's no way they're gonna be there at 11 AM, and so we have it at 4:30 PM. Some people never come to the chats live. They watch them later on via replay, and they like that because they can speed it up or slow it down or go over things, go past things, whatever. So there's the morning class, and then there's the afternoon class, which may be, of course, night and day, depending on where you are. And then there's a really lovely little class in here called Transformational Practices, where people just share practice that they've taken on. Because there's a difference between practicing to get something right and taking on a practice to let it get to you. And we look at both those things, and then people share what has happened when they've taken on a transformational practice. How's it got to them? What happened? That's what that little class is for. We're going to look at the other yellow ones. There's catch up coaching on Thursday evening and Friday morning, 2 different times. And there's office hours and catch up coaching. And these 2 things alternate so that we're always really thinking about the international community, thinking about how people can get to at least one of these a week, because I mean, if you come to all of them, that's what, 5 or 6 hours a week. And some people have time for that. Some people don't have time for that. It doesn't matter. You take what works for you. And then we also have some other things that happen periodically, like there's Techie Tidbits and Harp Time Live and the book club. And then for members who have been in the academy for more than a year, there's this elite chat. They become elite members. So that's the basic timeline each week. And that's the coaching. So that's the time when you get one-on-one. It's all live, it's all recorded, and so that's the live part. Then there are the classes. The classes are pre-recorded. Some people wanna and they're, you take one, they're modular. And, I just wanna say one thing about the class. There's a lot of classes. You don't do all the classes. You look at one class that's gonna be meaningful to you, or we take one class a quarter and we specifically look at it. Like this quarter is all about what's called creative resonance, or depending on when you're listening to this, creative resonance. There's another quarter that's called the power of pattern. There's a quarter that's called grounded expansion. There's a quarter that's called structure is freedom. We're always looking at a concept that could be expressed in many different ways at many different technical levels. That's what makes it so rich. Some people never take the classes. Some people take the first module of each class. Some people take modules 1, 2, 3. Some people take the class and do the exact homework. People take it in different ways, and it doesn't matter. What matters is that you come to something, and and you find something that is interesting to you, or I say, okay, try this. You try it, and then you take it and you work with it and you play with it and you let it expand. So even if you just come to the first 30 minutes of a chat once a week, you will get a creative snippet that you can take and you can expand. If you are playing professionally right now, you put that right into play. If you're not playing professionally, you play around with it. But it's all about learning to be creative, not learning to follow something like da 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 da. You can, because sometimes it's difficult for people to transition to a more open way of learning. And so we do have classes where you can just tell me what to do. Sometimes we need that. So anyway, so those are the classes, and there's dozens and dozens of them. In the classes, you have video, you have audio files that you can download. A lot of people are like, well, how long do I have access? You have access as long as you're a member, but if you want to create your own library, you can download the audio, you can download the PDFs, and then you can keep those. And we show you how you can kind of set that up on your, in your computer so that you'll have access to it. I mean, you download them, have access to them, but for me, I take a lot of online classes, and I need to organize them in a certain way. Otherwise, it's just more stuff on my computer. So what kind of PDFs? You get PDF play sheets, lead sheets, worksheets that will structure what you're learning, or they're things to play. There's also soundscapes and backing tracks, which are really fun to improvise with or to learn improvisation with. Some people actually use them as like a band in a box for a gig. So you've got those soundscapes. So it is a living, playing experience. That's what the Academy is. And to help you live it, I do that anyway, is the community. And it is, you will hear this over and over and over again. You will hear about the hip hop community. You will hear about people seeing, like last summer, I went to a retreat, and there were people who were in the academy and people who were not in the academy, and people who were not in the academy were like, they were like, I'm joining because I saw the academy members. I saw how confident they were. I saw that they were playing without music. I saw how present they were. This happens together. Confidence is built together, not by achieving more than anybody else, but by seeing that it is safe, that it is safe to be expressive, and by being around others who are committed to the same thing. So the community is a powerful community of harpists all around the world of many, many different levels, but they're all here to find the freedom to get unstuck and to be expressing themselves. That's why me included. And you are not alone. Yeah, you're not alone. That's a big deal. A big deal, because we can feel alone even among others if there's competition. And so we're worried about that. But when we are in community, when we have colleagues, we are not alone. And you have your heart buddy. Heart buddy is the first person you share your ideas with, somebody who keeps you on track, the person that you share the journey with. So those are the three elements that make the Academy so powerful: the coaching, the classes, and the community. All right, so I want to answer some questions that I've been getting, and then I can come and I can answer whatever questions you have. I want to tell you that depending on when you are listening to this, the Academy may be open for registration, and during the open registration periods, we often have a discount, so you should go and check that. You can save depending on when you sign up. It's always absolutely worth it, but you can go and check that out. I can tell you a little bit more later about, like, if you're interested, I can tell you what it costs and what that looks like. But I want to answer some of your questions first. So, and you can just go, you can also go to the academy. Let me come back to just me here. Stop screen sharing. And I should be back. And I'm going to check to see if there's any questions here. Okay. And I know that some of you can't ask questions depending on what, you know, what, oops, this is falling off my ear. I know that sometimes you can't ask questions depending on where you're listening or watching this. I think I can still be heard. Okay. So far, so good. So let's look at some questions. One of the questions I've got them written down here. Oh God, yes. Okay. So a lot of people are always like, "Am I good enough? What if I'm not good enough for the academy?" And I want to tell you, if you can play the harp, even as long as you're a fledgling player. Now, a fledgling bird can't isn't flying all around. They're just kind of, they jump out of the nest and fall down and jump back up. But they do know, but they have enough feathers that they can at least flail around. So you want to be able to flail around and have your harp. Although I have discovered that some people snuck into the academy as beginners and have now really developed. So it is possible. I don't recommend it, but apparently it is possible to come in as a beginner. Um, it's not about being good enough. It is about being willing to suspend your disbelief in yourself and actually take on the possibility that you could be good enough right now as you are to be able to be self-expressed and experience freedom. You will not be able to be self-expressed or experience freedom if you're always trying to do something that's way beyond what you can do. And that is basically the training that we get in a sort of the basic standard music training is you're always trying to do something you can't do. You learn how to do something and then you stop doing it and you do the next thing and then you do the next thing and you're always trying to achieve more. And I did that too. But I didn't as a kid. As a little kid, when I was 7 and I learned how to play 3 chords on the ukulele, my world opened up. I knew everything. I had everything that I needed in order to be completely and absolutely self-expressed. Why I stopped doing that as an adult, why I got into this competitive mindset, I don't know. That was how I was taught. But it wasn't until I started playing jazz that I started seeing that jazz players aren't doing that. They're not like looking for the next best thing to play. They're looking for the depth in playing the same thing. They're looking for finding something new in the same tune. Yeah, maybe they have a huge repertoire. Sure, that's fine. But they're not they're not it's not like I can play this new song. No, it's the depth of what they're doing with what they have. And it's their ability to play with others. And when I saw that and I was like, "Whoa, I can spend my life playing and I will develop through my playing, not through sitting there with a metronome and sweating over it and having a conniption fit every time I make a mistake because I'm imagining, what if somebody heard me do that? That completely changed my life. And I realized that that is possible for anybody. But you do have to be able to suspend your disbelief that you're not good enough. And I find that this is almost impossible to do by myself. I have to be with other people who are doing the same thing. I have to see it, and I have to, in order to suspend that disbelief. And it's still really, it dies very hard. But what was that? Oh, yes. So the question is, what if I'm not good enough? That's just not an issue. It's about you coming in, and to a certain extent, it can be helpful if you know where you're stuck or you know what you want to do, but you don't absolutely have to. You can just want to be more self-expressed. And why is that important today? The world is more and more divided, divisive. When we have conversations with people, they're often about this side or that side, and that can be very stressful. Having a way to be self-expressed and having a way to connect with people that is not about whether this is right or whether this is wrong or what you believe or what you don't believe, but being able to connect with people through self-expression is more important today than it's ever been before. It can be part of the solution of connecting the world rather than having it always in always, against. So, am I good enough? Yeah, yeah. That's not a question in the academy. It's your willingness to be present or your willingness to get there and say, "I don't know how to be present," or "I wanted to be present, but I don't know how now." So, how you are is exactly how you should be in the academy. So, a lot of people will also ask, "Am I going to get the full value of my investment?" And this is always really curious to me because I'm not sure what they're thinking of. I think they go to the academy and they look at everything that's available and they're like, "Well, am I gonna be able to take all those classes?" Yeah, well, you're not going to. There is so much in the academy. There's, 5 or 6 hours of live content each week, which gets recorded and becomes part of the archives. There's all these classes, and then there's the time that for you to be playing, which is the most important time, and getting everything just it's not relevant. It's like if you went into a grocery store and you said like, "Am I gonna be able to get all full am I gonna be able to buy everything?" Or if someone said, "Well, you can have everything that you want in this grocery store." Are you really gonna buy everything that's in the grocery store? I mean, it it's it's about thinking about what do I want to express? Where am I stuck? And then freeing yourself, because ultimately it's not about grading, I took this class and then I took this and this. No, it's about you becoming free, you becoming self-expressed. Some people learn one left-hand pattern. That's all they need. They're self-expressed, and then from that left-hand pattern, they can discover other left-hand patterns. Some people need to learn 4 or 5 before they start to say like, "Wait a second, I could use any of these." So I it's not about I guess it's more like what is on your creative grocery list? What is it that you wanna cook for yourself? I'm gonna say this again because I have this funny feeling. Am I being heard? Can you hear me? I think I can. I mean, like, I sing the little thing here, but, um but I know it's the middle of the day, and I know that some people can't actually get to, chatting, but I am used to a little bit more chatting. So, anyway, hopefully everything's okay. If not, I'll come back. I'll do this again because I learn stuff when I do this too. So, in that category of, like, am I gonna get my money's worth out of the academy? Knowing what you wanna learn is the f is a great thing to know, or knowing either what you wanna learn or how you wanna get unstuck is great, but we don't always know that. In part because we're so used to fitting into what we're supposed to do. But you can start in the academy with the on-ramp where you just go through, here's step 1 and step 2 and step 3 and step 4, and usually at that point, you start beginning to realize, or you come to a chat or something, and you're like, "Oh, I see, then I could take this and I could go here with it." So it may take a little while for you to be able to sometimes I can be just so nervous, like, "I don't know what I want. I just know that I'm not doing what I wanna do, or I know I'm not I'm stuck in some way, but I can't even articulate where I'm stuck." And that's fine. You just come and you watch the chats and you see what other people ask. You're not alone. You get to see other people trying things. You get to see their questions, you get to see what they're doing, and that makes a huge difference. That's something that I used to do. I noticed that when I was with my teacher, I noticed it was with my teacher, Tony, I was so kind of deer in headlights when I was learning anything from him that I couldn't really be present. And so I started always going to work with him with someone else. And we would, I would stand back and watch him coaching somebody, and I would often videotape for them. And then I would go coach with Tony, and they would videotape for me. And I was often so nervous when I was working with him. I don't remember anything that I learned, but I learned so much by watching others. And so that's another thing that you get to do in the academy is get to see in, and then I began to understand what it was that I could get out of the training. And so another thing that you can think about to help you know, is this for you, is where you want to serve others, who you want to play for, who's your audience. There are people in the academy. There's one woman, her audience, the person she wants to play for is her grandson. That's it. She is there to learn to play music for and with her grandson. And that's amazing. That's really beautiful. Why not? There are people who are in the academy to learn to play professionally. There are people who are in the academy to learn to be busking on the street. There are people who are in the academy just because they want to experience the freedom and the self-expression for themselves. So you may know that when you come in, and you may discover that while you're there. So having an idea of who you want to serve, whether it's your own creativity or a single person or something else, that can be helpful. You can look where you're stuck. Even if that's just a feeling of like, I am stuck to the music, or I want to play, I want to have a bigger repertoire and it just takes me so long to learn stuff. You look at that and then you bring that in and you say, this is where I'm stuck. What do you have for me? And then I can point it out, like go over and do that, try this class first, and then come and ask questions. That's why it's such a beautiful combination of the live where I'm answering questions, the classes where there's stuff already there that you can do on your own time, and where there's the community where you see other people asking questions, other people showing what they're learning. For me, that's my best way to learn. All those things, they let me have a full dimension of learning. And that's why I did them in the academy, because I love online classes. And so I saw, what are my favorite things? What are the things that really work for me in online classes? And then I put them in the academy. So in order to decide, like, how do I get my money's worth? Look for where you want to connect or get unstuck in your life, or where you want to just have new horizons. Look for that in your life, and then come in with that intention and keep looking for it and keep asking for it. And there's no way, if you actually, when you have that breakthrough, you have it for life. You are an expanded human being and more expressed human being. And that's all that really matters. Oh, yeah, so then I said, so yeah, you bring where you're stuck, or who you wanna, um, speak to, and then, you bring that to the academy. You don't have to take any complete class, I already told you that. So, the other question that people are always asking is, or they sometimes say, they were like, "But I don't wanna learn jazz." Some people do wanna learn jazz, some people don't. And I just wanna say the academy is not, you can learn jazz in the academy, but I created the academy as a foundation for improvisation from which you can then go into different genres of composition. Some people are learning composition and improvisation use a lot of the same tools. They just use them in different ways. Improv is all about composition in the moment that you don't write down. Composition is like improvisation where you write it down and then you keep doing it the same way. So different people are learning different ways. Some people are learning things where they build a little bit of composition and then they have improv in it. So These are all the different so those are the questions that I mostly get. One is, am I good enough to be in the academy? Yes, you are. It's about being present and suspending your disbelief in yourself so that you can allow yourself to be more self-expressed. Is it going to be jazz? Can be or not. I mean, we literally have a class called Jazz for Harps, which you can take, but there's so much huge other spectrum of improvisation. And then the final is, what if how do I get my money's worth? Am I gonna it's more like I'm gonna invest in this. Am I gonna be able to live up to my investment? I think that a lot of people feel like, what if I get too busy, or what if I, something like this. M- We priced it so that if you leave the academy for a month every quarter, it doesn't matter. You're still getting the transformation in your playing, the unstuckness, the self-expression that you're coming for. And that's what it's all about. It's about you becoming ever more self-expressed. So, oh, wait a minute. Let me pull this back up again so that you have access to it, to the link. I hope you're seeing this. Hip Harp Academy. I am recording this right now on the cusp of when the registration discount goes away, or where the registration savings goes away. So go check it. If you play the harp, if you want to be more self-expressed, if you have a vision, or even just a sense of like, I want to be more self-expressed, or there's I want to be able to do this one thing, or I want to get free from the notes, or I want to explore something new in life. I want to explore what this instrument can do. This is a great time to sign up. And if you, so because the academy is open, the standalone classes are open all the time. I hope that this was helpful to everybody. I hope it answered some questions, and I really hope it was recorded. And if not, I'll be back here and happy to share this again, because this was my journey. Coming to the harp, feeling like I got stuck in and it was a beautiful thing, and it had all this possibility, but I was stuck with my technical it was so, um, there were struggles, and I kept trying to do more and more and more, and never, for so long, allowed myself to actually experience that beauty of flying and of being where I am and being self-expressed at the level that I am. And so having finally learned that and seeing that I'm not the only person who struggles with that, I'm really so proud of having the academy where I see people having those breakthroughs all the time. And you can see some of those people talk about their breakthroughs when you go to hipharpacademy.com. All right. So I look forward to seeing all of you. And if you have any questions, you should be, I don't know. You'll figure it out. Go to hipharpacademy.com and there should be a place there to ask questions. Thank you so much, and go forth. Go forth and harp on. Ooh. Go forth and harp on the freedom, the discovery of a sense of freedom that you didn't know you already have.